We go now to game 2 between Skarbrand and SPB, and Skarbrand is trying to fight back in the series, currently down 1-0, and he's taken Tzeentch and one of my favorite, Lord Sarthoriel the Everwatcher, into the High Elves. So let's take a look at the rest of the Tzeentch forces here. We've got some Doom Knights up in the sky, including the Regiment of Renown, Knights of Immolation, single Exalted Flamer, and some Marauders, a couple of them just for roadblocks. Some Chaos Knights, looks like 1 Lance, 2 Sword and Shield, and that's pretty much it for Tzeentch. Relatively elite force, definitely looking for these single entities to get some work done. On the High Elf side, we do have a High Archmage already unleashing some Tempest on those Knights of Immolation. We've got Everqueen's Court Guards also getting immolated here, very expensive and elite ranged units. Sisters of Avalorn, Regiment of Renown, another Sister of Avalorn here, as well as some spears. Looks like 4 spears with shields, importantly. Lothern Seaguard, that is. And some spearmen, of course, up front as well. A couple Silverins maybe mixed in here. Yep, as a front line. So, yeah, maybe 1 Lothern Seaguard without shield, which notably one of the few units that actually has a speed penalty from taking a shield. Very slight speed penalty, but let's not get too caught up on that. You can see the Exalted Flamer moving out in space, trying to avoid taking too much damage from those archers. It does outrange the High Elf archers. Actually not. It doesn't. Straight up. Everqueen's Court Guards at 180 significantly outrange them, so the Knights of Immolation have taken massive damage also from that Tempest, and from the from the archer fire here. They're going to come drop their bombs. Their little Regiment of Renown Searing Torrent bombs here. Does some pretty good damage to that unit of Sisters of Avalorn. Well, another Tempest hits them. These other Doom Knights, taking relatively little damage so far, can come in here and try and disrupt some of these archers. Sarthoriel also drops a nasty Final Transmutation, and also uses the Rock of Inevitability to debuff the stats of the dragon, so even if it wanted to come try and counter him, it would have a hard time doing so, although it is going to throw a breath attack into the Knights there. Tzeentch also dropping the army ability Bombardment on the dragon. I think that might have just straight up missed, which is super painful. But, yeah, is that a little, is that volley of high arrows, or is that Soul Quench? Yeah, it looks like Soul Quench there, taking a shot, trying to finish off that Flamer before it could use up too much of its ammunition. Right now, looks like Skarbrand maneuvering it out over to the flank, try and get something done. He has done a good job of disrupting these lines here. You can see none of the archers are really shooting. Lothern Seaguard might be shooting a little bit there, but yeah, mostly getting terror routed away, taking massive damage. Of course, the armor of the Chaos Knights is a lot more than what the Lothern Seaguard can get through, but balance power still neck and neck, more or less. Tzeentch has definitely taken some pretty considerable damage on some high-value units, but the Exalted Flamer just kind of staying away for now until the archers can be at least sufficiently engaged. It is going to be very necessary in order to take out these masses of spears and Lothern Seaguards, so let's get in close. Watch the fire be unleashed. Of course, it kind of has these little mini vortex effects that spawn whenever it hits, so that's going to do additional damage. Another breath attack being dropped there. Looks like he tried to go for Sarthoriel himself, but he was able to dodge that attack. Pops up into the air, pops a nice little standard die as well, just to juice up to 65 melee defense on those Chaos Knights with lances, even more. Didn't actually hit the Shield Knights, but regardless, nice to get that extra value there. And Sarthoriel might be going for an engagement on the dragon here. Let's take a look at the stats. I mean, he does have better attack and defense, less weapon strength, but relatively peer opponents. The dragon does have better armor as well. I mean, both armor piercing, but Sarthoriel's lower weapon strength, plus the armor will mean he does less damage for sure. But a really nicely placed Final Transmutation. I say really nicely placed. It's actually on the Archmage, so she'll kind of carry it around and hit different units with it as she flies over them. But yeah, Sarthoriel getting aggressive here. Love it from Skarbrand, trying to take out the Archmage. And little Apotheosis in response, trying to keep things healed up. But another brutal volley hits those Silverin Guard. Doesn't actually count as magic damage, those little vortices that spawn. Anyway, yeah, massive, massive damage from the Exalted Flamer at range. And now that it's relatively safe to just fire in on these spears, going to do a nice job of tearing through those infantry. Very janky charge from Sarthorail, but he does manage to get the land there. No landing bug for him. Slams his staff into the ground in its classic animation. Oh yeah. Sarthorail's probably the Lords of Change in general, because their ground animation set was made in a different time. It actually works pretty well in comparison to some other flying units that don't have the best ground animation sets, but he is going to get hit by a little Tempest there. I almost think maybe SPB should have been focusing the Tempest on Sarthorail the whole time, but potentially has a chance to win here if he can, you know, rally some of his troops together here. Still got a lot of spears and Silver and Guard. The Exalted Flamer just kind of struggling to get away as it's so tired, but the Doom Knight's still hanging around and help clean up whatever range units that come back. But yeah, SPB really also just needs to land the Archmage like right on top of just blocks of spearmen, force Sarthorail to fight on top of them. He doesn't have a lot of armor, so he definitely gets punished by the spears in a surround. I mean, obviously his animation set makes him somewhat hard to hit, but he's yeah, I mean, it would be advantageous. Yeah, you can see SPB does eventually land the Archmage on the ground. The spears are a little bit slow to react. Has to kind of screen through them here a little bit, and Sarthorail on the move can just path right through them, no problem. Continue attacking the dragon. Ooh, a hit from the Exalted Flamer actually finishes it off for some style points. Unleashes some more vortexes even. And we see a bombardment as well. A little searing doom just to speed things along. And Sarthorail for the photo finish there. Proud bird as ever. The best bird, to be honest. One of my favorite characters. Such a fun one for sure. And credit to Skarbrand fighting back. Very elite build here for sure. Definitely relying on some of these units. And almost lost it with the damage done to the Exalted Flamer, but managed to get in, disrupt the archers well enough that he could then use it to clean up in the late game. Credit to the Knights, even though they didn't get a ton of value, necessarily, raw damage value, still was pretty good overall, just kind of disrupting. And then Sarthorail, of course, massive value on him against the enemy Dragoncaster. And just in general, you know, those big final transmutations are going to net extra value on everything else around. Kills models very quickly, even on high model count units. So, yeah, it's very, very effective. Super effective, might even say. 18,000 damage dealt, 4,200 gold value. Definitely the MVP with quick, close runner-up, I should say. Exalted Flamer with 15,000 damage, 1649 on the value. And then, yeah, the Cavalry, again, they fulfilled their role of disrupting the archers, but not getting a ton of value in and of themselves. For the High Elves here, I mean, interesting build for sure. It's somewhat lacking in, like, a direct heavy damage dealer outside of the dragon, like a lot of kind of hold and grind units, you might say. Pretty heavy ranged firepower, granted. You can definitely burst things down very quickly with that volume of ranged, and, you know, the Sisters of Avalorn also pretty good DPS, and especially the accuracy means their DPS is yeah, very good, especially. But interesting, maybe just some, you know, Fireborn, it would be tough to fit them in. You'd have to definitely cut some stuff, but that Regiment of Renown, you know, armor-piercing cavalry is quite strong, so definitely would have been nice to have that bit of anti-large to just really crush the Chaos Knights in some key engagements, and then maybe pressure, be able to pressure Exalted Flame, or at least preserve more of the archer power intact. But regardless, very fun game. Hopefully you enjoyed. Skarbrand does even up the semifinal series to 1-1, so be sure to tune in for the thrilling conclusion tomorrow. We'll cast the other semifinals series as well, and then on to the finals. So thanks for sticking with me. It's my pleasure to bring you this content. If you found it good, informative, entertaining, exciting, whatever, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Thank you once again. We'll see you next time.